Why be ordinary when you can be flamboyant? Wanshaka Radio. Be flamboyant.
Good evening, and here are the major stories for today. Ahead of the 2019 general elections, the Federal High Court this Monday barred its judges across the country from granting ex parte orders in any political case that is brought before it. Also, the court directed that all pending political cases that could affect the opportunity of candidates pursuing their political ambitions should be concluded before the end of next month. Chief Judge of the High Court, Abdul Kafarati, who gave the directives during a special session the court held to mark the commencement of its 2018-2019 legal year, said the decision was aimed to forestall any hiccups and the blame of the court by the politicians. He said a circular had already been issued to judges across the country to effect the orders. President Muhammadu Buhari has advised African countries to improve on port infrastructure and utilize all natural maritime endowment to facilitate trade. President Buhari made the plea today in Abuja during the first regional conference on international African ports and harbour with the theme African Ports and Hinterland Community. The president assured that interconnectivity would improve African countries' economic competitiveness as targeted under the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, just as he implored participants at the conference to see themselves as people opportuned to stand in positions of responsibility on behalf of Africa. The Delta State Ministry of Health has confirmed the death of a woman who allegedly manifested symptoms of Lassa fever virus. Chairman of the State Primary Health Development Agency, Isioma Okoba, disclosed the development at a media briefing in Asaba this Monday. The woman, she explained, reportedly took ill August 18, 2018 and was admitted at the Kwale General Hospital, but was transferred to the Federal Medical Center Asaba on August 19 when her condition deteriorated. Okuba said measures are being taken to trace persons who might have been in contact with the deceased while in hospital, and 2 persons are currently under medical care, responding to treatment pending the outcome of their tests. The chairman, however, assured the people of the state that the ministry was working to ensure there was no outbreak of the disease and appealed to residents not to panic. The Supervising Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, says Nigeria is facing serious revenue challenges, but is assured that the ministry would do everything possible to shore up the revenue base of the country. The minister stated this today when she assumed duties at the Ministry of Finance. A fellow of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria and a member of the Nigerian Institute of Taxation and the Nigerian Institute of Management, Ahmed was the Minister of State for Budget and National Planning before she was directed to oversee the Ministry of Finance by President Muhammadu Buhari, following the resignation of former Minister Kemi Adeosun on Friday, September 14. 10 local governments in Kogi State have been submerged by flood in the last 72 hours, leading to a creation of 33 camps for the victims. Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello made this known today while addressing journalists after a meeting with President Buhari in Abuja. He said the state has been taking proactive measures to evacuate residents to higher grounds, as well as provide more security in the internally displaced persons camps. Former militants in Bayelsa State have called for the removal of coordinator of the Presidential Amnesty Program, Charles Dokubo. The militants reportedly took to the streets in the early hours of today and blocked the Imbiama access of the East-West Road, causing a gridlock that lasted for about 2 hours. According to the militants, creating the blockade is to send a message to the federal government that they are not ready to accept no for an answer. They also lamented the non-payment of their monthly stipend and therefore issued a 7-day ultimatum, insisting they won't backtrack on their action until they get a phone call from the Amnesty Office agreeing to pay their outstanding allowance. Charles Dokubo was appointed by President Buhari on March 13 this year to replace former coordinator Paul Boro. And the Independent National Electoral Commission has banned the use of mobile phones, cameras and any recording devices by voters during the Osun State governorship election. INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu disclosed the developments this Monday at a stakeholders meeting in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, ahead of the election scheduled to hold on September 22. The INEC boss explained that voters would not be prevented from using their devices at the polling units, but would be banned from holding their cameras and telephones once the ballot papers are issued and until they cast their votes in the ballot boxes. Yakubu is convinced that the ban will help reduce the risk of vote buying and selling, which he described as a norm amongst politicians. In international news, the International Criminal Court has sentenced Jean-Pierre Bemba, a former vice president and rebel leader in the Democratic Republic of Congo, for bribing witnesses during his war crimes trial. In a ruling today, the Hague-based court handed Bemba a 12-month sentence and a €300,000 fine for tampering with witnesses in an earlier hearing over possible war crimes and crimes against humanity committed by fighters is sent to suppress a coup in neighboring Central African Republic between October 2002 and 2003. ICC Judge Bertram Schmidt said the ruling would provide a cautionary example as to what consequences obstructing the administration of justice can have. Bemba will not return to jail because of the sentence, having served time after being found guilty following the war crimes case in 2016. Bemba, who had been in ICC detention since 2008, was acquitted on appeal in June. And the coastal city of Wilmington, North Carolina, has been cut off from the rest of the state due to heavy floods following Hurricane Florence. Officials say all roads in and out are now impassable and have warned evacuated residents to stay away. About 400 people have been rescued from floodwaters in the city, described as an island within the state. At least 15 other people are reported to have died in storm-related incidents across North and South Carolina since Florence made landfall on Thursday. In Wilmington, with its population of about 120,000, some 400 people have had to be rescued from floodwaters, and most of the city remains without power. The National Weather Service has warned of at least 2 further days of possible flash flooding in that area before conditions are forecast to improve. In business, the International Monetary Fund has warned that a no-deal Brexit on World Trade Organization terms would entail substantial cost for the United Kingdom. The IMF said all likely Brexit scenarios would entail cost, but a disorderly departure could lead to a significantly worse outcome, noting that the challenges in getting a deal done were daunting. The IMF expects Britain's economy to grow by 1.5% in both this year and 2019 if a broad Brexit agreement is struck. The predictions were reported in the IMF's latest annual assessment of the UK economy. And Time magazine has once again been sold almost 8 months after it was sold to US media group Meredith Corporation. Co-founder of Salesforce.com, Mark Benioff, and his wife are personally buying Time for $190 million, according to reports. In a statement, Meredith said the Benioffs would not be involved in the day-to-day operations or journalistic decisions. The deal could close within a month, but must first get regulatory approval. In entertainment, the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, has launched her first solo project as a royal, a cookbook in support of Grenfell families and others. Markle has written the foreword to a recipe book produced by cooks at the Hub Community Kitchen, based near the Tower in West London. The Duchess has been working with volunteers in that area since January. She said in a statement that she felt connected to the project as a place for women to laugh, grieve, cry, and cook together. The book, called Together, Our Community Cookbook, includes 50 recipes by women whose community were affected by the Tower Block fire in June 2017, in which 72 people were killed. In sports, the Nigeria Cricket Federation has promised that the cricket ovals currently under construction at the National Stadium, Abuja, will be completed in December. Public Relations Officer of the Federation, Musa Heizoje, told reporters today that the target is to complete the structures before the National Men Championship, also scheduled for December. The construction of the ovals was initiated in 2015 by the former NCF board, led by Emeka Onyema, but was stopped due to lack of approval from the Federal Capital Development Authority. And Kenyan runner Joseph Kiptum has been hit by a car as he led a half marathon in Colombia. Kiptum, who is 30, was nearing the finish line in Medellin when he was struck by a vehicle which had apparently ignored a street closure. Race organizers said the athlete was treated at the roadside and taken to hospital with cuts and bruises and has now been discharged in good health. Kiptum's compatriot Daniel Muteti won the elite race in 1 hour, 3 minutes and 45 seconds. The organizers also confirmed that a 38-year-old amateur runner, Juan Camilo Abroleda, died after collapsing with heart problems at the finish line. Those are the major stories for today. I am Binta Bhadmus.
Why be ordinary when you can be flamboyant? One Checker Radio. Be flamboyant.